Hello and welcome to My Baseball History. I'm your host, Dan Wallach. My Baseball History is a long-form interview podcast where each episode I'll talk to someone new who has some sort of association to the game of baseball. No matter who I talk to, we'll talk about how they fell in love with baseball, how their career started, and how they got to be where they are today. Today's episode is brought to you by Coda, the new clothing line created by Ashton Lansdell. Coda, spelled K-O-D-A, is the name of Ashton's pit bull, which is where the name comes from. For her brand, the acronym stands for Creators of Divine Auras. Coda has just recently launched, but there are already hoodies, t-shirts, and hats available in different colors, sizes, and styles. Ashton designs every piece herself, and the font used on everything is her own handwriting. Coda is all about putting good energy out into the world because what you give is what you get. As you'll learn in this episode, Ashton is all about giving good energy, creating good energy, and bringing herself to the highest being that is possible. It's all about good vibes for her, and that's what her brand is about too, because Ashton feels that putting good energy out into the world will impact your life in the most positive ways. Coda's sun logo symbolizes karmic energy, and is a symbol that Ashton even has tattooed on her. Visit the liner notes on the My Baseball History website for a link to see everything Coda has to offer today, and be the energy. Now, as you may have guessed by now, on today's episode, I spoke with a member of the U.S. Women's National Baseball Team, Ashton Lansdell. Since the age of 4, Ashton exclusively played baseball, even when she was the only girl on the team. Despite being consistently underestimated as a female in baseball, Ashton persevered, eventually becoming the first woman to be a starting pitcher in a Georgia 7A regional game while playing at Wheeler High School. She helped guide the Wildcats to the 2019 regional title. At the age of 17, Ashton tried out for and landed a spot on the USA Women's National Baseball Team, an elite 18-player group of professionals that represents the United States in international women's baseball competitions. In 2019, she helped lead the team to a gold medal victory at the Women's Pan-American Championships in Mexico, hitting .583 for Team USA. She was second on the U.S. with 8 extra base hits and hit for the cycle against Cuba. Unfortunately, Ashton suffered a torn right ACL while turning a double play, which led to multiple surgeries and kept her off the field for 2 seasons. Ashton played 1 season of baseball at Georgia Highlands College, where she was the first female to play baseball at the NJCAA level. At the MLB Home Run Derby X, Ashton ripped 15 home runs and has continued to travel the world participating in events representing major league teams on that stage. Ashton switched to softball for the first time in her life when she transferred to Florida International University for her sophomore year. Ashton was FIU's starting shortstop in 2023, ranking 4th in Conference USA and 40th nationally among the leaders in steals. Back in baseball, Ashton represented Team USA for the 2023 and 2024 Women's Baseball World Cup, acting as the team's leadoff hitter. In group play, Ashton had 4 RBI against Canada and 5 runs versus Hong Kong. In that phase, she was among the leaders in runs, hits, triples, home runs, and total bases. In the finals, Ashton scored 7 runs in 5 games, going 4 for 4 in steals. She helped the U.S. win their first silver medal in a decade, falling just shy of the team's goal at the start of the tournament to #RTEFW. I'd tell you what those letters stand for, but this is a family show, so let's just say the gist of it was the team wanted to win gold. In June of 2024, Ashton announced she was transferring again, this time to play for a Power 5 college in the SEC. She'll suit up for Ole Miss during the 2025 softball season, which starts in March. The Rebels will play inside their brand new softball complex on the grounds of the old ballpark for Ashton's senior year, which is her final year of college eligibility. But that wasn't all the big news Ashton announced in June of 2024. She also signed a 3-week contract with the Savannah Bananas and traveled around the country playing to sold-out crowds in minor and major league ballparks. Ashton's journey has already been incredible, especially considering she's only 23 years old and probably just getting started. In this episode, we cover lots of ground. Ashton tells us what it was like to grow up playing a sport which many people believe she didn't belong playing. We find out how difficult it is, both mentally and physically, to overcome injuries. We learn the pressure that comes from being hailed as the future of women's baseball from someone who has had to live up to that since high school. And we hear what it feels like to not only be selected to represent your country for an international competition, but to bring home a medal. With all of that information and much, much more coming at you, it may be helpful to follow along with the episode's liner notes on our podcast website. If you're new to the show, don't worry. You'll still be able to enjoy this episode without the extra help from the liner notes. But longtime listeners love the photos and links we put up on the website, which will give you a better understanding of the things Ashton and I are discussing and provide some context when needed. The liner notes can be found on the My Baseball History website, which is online at www.shoelesspodcast.com. If you want to follow along, head to the website where you'll see the Ashton Lansdell episode listed first on the main page under latest episodes. Click on that and you'll be ready to follow along. There's an embedded media player right on the page, so you don't need to have multiple windows open while you listen or fumble around with multiple devices. If you want to catch up on any of our earlier episodes, you can click on the tabs at the top of the website to go back through past interviews from any of our previous seasons and see a full list of everything we have to offer so far. Everything in the liner notes goes in chronological order of how we talked about them in the interview, so you should easily be able to keep your place as you listen. After the interview, we'll do a recap of what you just heard, adding some extra insight and hopefully answering any questions that may have come up as you listened. I'll also explain how you'll have a couple chances to answer a trivia question to win a prize, so stick around until the end of the episode for that too. But now, here's my interview with U.S. Women's National Baseball Team member, Ashton Lansdell. So tell me a little bit about where you grew up.
I grew up in Marietta, Georgia for the most part. I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. I basically grew up in Marietta, Georgia. I definitely call that home. I went to elementary, middle, and high school there, and college in the area, so Marietta, Georgia is home for the most part, absolutely.
When you were 4, your dad started teaching you how to play baseball in your backyard. What is your earliest baseball memory?
Oh, man. I think if I try my hardest, I think I can remember all the way back to North Carolina. In our backyard, we had a white house, and we had a pretty nice backyard with a trampoline in the backyard. We even had a playground literally right across the street in our neighborhood from our house. So we would either go across the street, and it had this playground and a field right behind it, and we would always go out there and start hitting t-balls and wiffle balls and that. And then we would even just go in the backyard, play catch, and he would just start throwing balls at me, and I would just pick up any bat or stick that I could find and just start swinging. And that's really where I guess I kind of feel like I fell in love with the game. I played t-ball too in Charlotte.
And you hit a home run in your very first game, is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of remember doing that, but I feel like I've been told that I've done that more than I actually remember. I did do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And your dad played college ball, right? Where did he play? What was his main position?
He did. His main position was catcher. He also did third and middle infield as well. If I remember correctly, I believe he played at North Texas, and I think he played at some community college before that. So he was a JUCO bandit as well as I was. So I guess it runs in the family.
Yeah. Looking back, do you think he was consciously training you to compete at a high level, or were you guys just having fun and you just happened to turn out to be really freaking good at this?
No, I think he was just letting me have fun. He never really pressured me into playing baseball or transfer over and play softball or to play any sport. Like, I think he really just enjoyed me being out there, and he saw that I enjoyed being out there and just let me do what I had the most fun with. Yeah.
What about your mom? Was she athletic when she was younger? Does she share a love of sports with you guys?
Yeah, she played volleyball for the most part. That was her main sport. She played, I believe, in high school. She didn't play in college. She's more so the brains, I would say. But she's definitely athletic. She, to this day, works out every single day. She's super fit. So I definitely get it from both sides of the family.
And you've got a younger sibling too?
I do. Camden, he's awesome. I actually wished for him when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And my parents gave me a little brother, and it was awesome. So he plays sports too. He's in high school right now.
Cool. You started playing baseball as an outfielder for your church league and rec leagues and travel ball. Yep. Were there ever any other girls on any of the teams growing up? There
were. I believe there were some on like some of the t-ball and the church league teams. I definitely remember in my 12U team, I was on the East Side Strikers, and there was another girl. Her name is Jody, and we were 2 girls on the same team, and everyone knew us, and it was cool to have another girl at that point. But she ended up going over to play softball during high school, and I kept playing baseball. But we did play together for, I believe, a season or 2.
Cool.
Yeah.
When you're a little kid, like a real little kid, I don't think gender even registers when you're playing sports. Like, I played on soccer teams when I was super young that had boys and girls on it, and I didn't think twice about it. Was there a moment when it became clear that you were a girl on an otherwise all-boys team, or was it just normal to you because that's how you'd always been playing?
It's definitely always been normal to me. I think the most it stuck out to me was when I got into high school, just because, like, you know, I had to be in the locker room with the boys. I never had to be in a locker room before, and even in high school, like, they would be okay with me being in the locker room. I would be okay with being in the locker room with them. Like, that was definitely the setting of having that opened a bigger picture that, oh yeah, I am a female and we have different body parts and all that stuff. But like, being on the field, it was just baseball.
Yeah.
Even when I got into college, it was the same thing. Like, changing in locker rooms and that whole deal, like that's when I feel like I am a female. But like on the field, it doesn't matter to me. I don't feel like it really matters to my teammates, maybe matters to my opponents, maybe it even mattered to some of my teammates. But
as long as you're making the plays.
Yeah. I mean, I was out there doing my thing and they were all for it. I mean, as far as I know, so it never really was a whole ordeal with anybody.
You were a Braves fan from an early age, and you got their throwback A logo tattooed on your leg after they won the World Series in 2021.
Sure did.
Did you have favorite players growing up?
Chipper Jones, absolutely. I loved him just all around. He was just a good guy, and I just liked his energy, his class. Always looked up to him going to the games. I was like, oh, that's Chipper Jones right there. And I think his name is just cool, too, like Chipper. Like, you can't forget that. So Chipper Jones is definitely one of my favorite all-time players.
Did you ever try to learn how to switch hit?
You know, I still to this day do. Maybe it'll happen one day, but I am strong for my left side, but the coordination needs some work.
I was the same way. Was there a certain age when coaches or family or friends kind of started suggesting that you transition over to playing softball instead of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember from when I started playing travel ball. When I got to Georgia, that's when I started playing travel ball. A few of my very first tournaments, I would have coaches and even parents from my own team say like, hey, have you ever thought about playing softball? Like it started with like, have you ever thought about it? And then I would every once in a blue moon get like, yeah, you need to go play softball. Like the boys are going to outgrow you and you're not going to last here much longer or whatever. And I'll just be like, oh, okay, cool. Glad you think that. And then just go turn around and run to my next game and ball out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people assume that softball is just the girl version of baseball, but softball is an entirely different, distinct sport. Like the pitching motion is completely different. Baseballs and softballs are different sizes, and they have a different number of stitches. The fields are different sizes. There's different equipment from the bats to the batting helmets to the size of the gloves. Even some of the rules are different. Isn't that kind of weird? Like if you're a girl, you're just expected to play softball?
Yeah, I do think it's weird. Baseball is its own sport, and yes, it's always been a man's sport, but there shouldn't be any reason why women can't play baseball too. Just because the field is bigger and you got to make longer throws and you got to run farther doesn't mean that women can't play the sport too. This year, actually, I play softball at FIU now. I just got the first-hand experience playing softball, and I never would have thought how different the games are. It's so different. Like I went from playing baseball my entire life to Division I college softball, back to playing baseball this summer. So I had that transition from baseball to softball and then softball back to baseball. And it's an adjustment mentally, physically, in all aspects. It is two completely different games.
Yeah. You went to Wheeler High School in Marietta. On March 9th, 2018, just 2 weeks after your 17th birthday, you became the first girl to start a varsity baseball game in Cobb County history when you took them on for Wheeler. But you didn't just start the game. You pitched 3 1/3 innings in a win against Pebblebrook. What do you remember about your emotions that day, before, during, and after the game?
I have a video on my phone that every time I look at a video that I'm trying to find or whatever, I always scroll by this one video of me pitching my bullpen before that game. And I'll just click on it and watch it. I was just like, dang, that was awesome. Like, that was so long ago, but I watched the video. I was like, I was throwing pretty hard and like I was looking good. And my coach was behind me shaking his head like, oh yeah, like she's got this. And I just remember like, kind of just like today, you're ready for this moment. You're here and you got your opportunity. Just go out, show that you can do it, and give it your all, and whatever happens, happens, but just go out there, have fun, do your job.
Were you thinking at any point, like, I'm making history, or was it just like, I'm just playing, like it's just a game today?
No, yeah, I honestly, like, didn't even know that I was the first girl to start a game in Cobb County until, like, I saw the article after it came out. So I was just out there playing the game that I love. Yeah.
You helped guide the Wildcats to the 2019 baseball regional title. What is your favorite memory from playing at Dave McDonald Field?
Honestly, playing at Dave McDonald Field, making the playoffs, was my favorite memory. We haven't done it in, I couldn't tell you how many years that we've been in the playoffs. That was really fun because we had like a dog pile. They were throwing out T-shirts to us. We were taking pictures and celebrating. But I will say, after we made the playoffs, we played against the #1 team in Georgia, Hillgrove High School. And I actually started at third base that game. And I made 2 or 3 great plays at third base. And I think that was one of my best memories from playing for Wheeler High School.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. You were a member of the 2018 Women's Baseball World Cup team representing the United States, and the U.S. took home 4th place while Japan won its 6th consecutive title. You know, the first round, you beat Puerto Rico 14-0, then the Netherlands 18-0, then South Korea 11-1, and then Venezuela 3-1. You lost to Chinese Taipei, who finished in 2nd place in the tournament. You lost 4-3. In the second round, you lost to Japan, who eventually won. You beat Canada, who placed 3rd, and then you beat the Dominican Republic 8-1. In the bronze medal game, you guys played Canada and lost 8-5 in 10 innings. Normal games in that tournament were 7 innings. You entered the game in the 6th inning as a pinch runner, got picked off first base by Canada's catcher, but then made it to second base after a rundown. Sacrifice moved you to third, but then you were stranded there. When you're playing in a big game like that, and there's a big moment like you winding up safe at second base after getting caught straying too far from the bag, how hard is it to immediately put that play behind you so you can be focused on the next equally important play?
Honestly, like, I guess you could say it was a mistake. You know, I got in a rundown, and oh my gosh, like, that's not supposed to happen, but hey, I made it to second. Like, it might not be how it was supposed to happen, but I got to second. Right. So honestly, it made me feel good because, like, yeah, I'm fast, so I got the second.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just in the moment, like, here, I'm at second base. Now I got to think of what's next. Like, if there's a bunt or there's a base hit behind me, I got to go to third. I got to truck it all around third, try and get home. So I'm just always thinking ahead up until, like, the next play, what could potentially happen and where I need to go and what I need to do. And honestly, just trust my instincts and trust that I know where to go and what to do and just expect that.
Yeah. Was that the biggest crowd that you'd ever played in front of at that point in your life?
I would say so. On the biggest stage, yes.
What was it like to be in front of that many people?
It was pretty crazy. Like, you know, you get out there, you look around, you're like, we're playing for our country against other people who are playing for their country, and you got fans on their side, you got fans on our side, and it's just like, wow, this is legit. Like, this is our Olympics, basically. It definitely, like, took a few practices and I would say 1 or 2, even maybe 3 games to, like, let that actually sink in and get those little jitters out. But once you got your feet wet and you're completely comfortable, you're like, this is awesome. We're playing the game we love and we're on this big stage. You know, just go out and have fun at the end of the day. Yeah. And it is easier said than done. In 2018, I was 17, so it's harder to have that mindset than it is this day because I've had, like, so many more experiences since then. But back in that day, like, I think I was just so in the moment and just trying to do my best at every opportunity that I got, whether it was pinch running in a game and putting my all out in the game or even just being on the bench and cheering all of my teammates on.
Team USA won the first 2 Women's Baseball World Cups in 2004 and 2006, but Japan then went on to win the next 6 and are technically still the reigning champions because the 2021 event was canceled due to COVID. What did you notice about teams like Japan and Chinese Taipei when you played them? Like, what makes them such great teams? Is it just the fact that they're professional teams and doing it year-round?
That definitely has to play in a little bit because we get to play not even 2 weeks before we have to be on the stage as a full team. Like, today is what? Friday. I arrived here on Wednesday, and this is our first time being all together.
Right. You practiced 2 days ago for the first time ever as a team, and then, like, next week you're playing games that matter.
Like, matter big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely plays a huge difference. They get to do it year-round. I don't know how their teams work, how they draft their teams, whatever, but they still get to be around the same people all year round. Us, we're all around the country. We all have our own jobs, our own lives, our own responsibilities to take care of, and we have to fit baseball in there somewhere. Whether baseball is your full-time job or if it's your part-time, whatever, it does play a big difference. And I can just see that they're definitely more, like, in sync and in tune with each other, and that has to be that they have the time to be together to build that connection. So it definitely shows on the field, but with Veronica being our head coach and Malika Underwood, Alex Oglesby, and Mendo up there, like, we've had these coaches since 2019, essentially. And so we're starting to build a more stable system within our team and our organization.
Yeah, that coaching staff allows for you guys to feel accountability.
And just a unity between each other. And having that all around, like, whatever team you're on, it helps so tremendously much. Yeah.
One of your teammates on the 2018 team was Laura Collins, who was 44 years old at the time. She participated in the first Women's Baseball World Cup in 2004, but then took a 14-year break before rejoining the team in 2018. You were the youngest player on the roster that year. You said you were 17 years old. What did you learn from Laura during the tournament, just about the game in general, about preparation, about keeping your body in the physical condition needed to compete? What did you take away from her being there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say we were 2 completely different ages, so we didn't, have a whole lot of time together, but we still had practices and on the bus, and we talked here and there. But honestly, just from, like, observing her being in the dugout, on the field, in the game, whatever, I think I just learned to just enjoy every moment. Like, she took a 14-year break, and honestly, I didn't even know that she took a 14-year break. Like, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And, she got another chance to be out on the field and do what she loves one more time. and you couldn't ask for anything more than that. So you're here, just enjoy every moment while you're here.
Yeah, I mean, she stopped playing when you were 3, and then you guys were on the same team together.
That's crazy. Yeah, I knew she was the oldest on the team, but I didn't know that she took like that 14-year break.
Yeah.
So that's actually really crazy to think about.
Do you see yourself still playing this game when you're 44 years old?
Absolutely. I'm going to keep going until my body allows me to. Like until I like almost physically can't walk, I plan to play baseball and or softball.
You've been publicly called the future of women's baseball since you were 17 years old. Is that a lot of pressure to live up to?
It is, but I take it very lightheartedly because I have a whole roster of 20 other women who are also the future of women's baseball. So it's not all up to me, but I mean, yes, I can be a big part of it, but I know I'm not the only one. Just knowing that there are other women out here all around the world, like not even just on my team, like we're all the future of women's baseball. I even follow younger girls on Instagram who are also the future of women's baseball. Like there's women and girls all over the world who are the future, and it's great to be called that, but I don't like to be cocky with any of that stuff. Like I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like I'm glad you guys think that, and I'm just out here doing what I love at the end of the day.
Yeah. What was it like when you found out you had actually made the USA Baseball Women's National Team in 2018? Because you had to try out. Like, you didn't just automatically make it. So what was it like to wait for that news, and then how did it feel when you found out?
I actually remember being in my garage after the tryouts. I feel like the tryouts went great. Like, I honestly thought, like, I had a pretty dang good shot at making the team. And after the tryouts, we got home. We were in Cary, North Carolina, got home in Georgia. I knew they were releasing the roster at some point online, didn't know exactly when. And then I remember being in my garage. I was probably playing basketball in the driveway or something, and my mom comes running out the front door. She's like, Ash, they dropped the roster. Like, look at your email. Like, look online, whatever. And we're reading it. We read, like, the first paragraph. I was like, skip over the paragraph. Get to the roster. I was like, I don't care about that. And my name's right there. And my mom just, like, starts breaking down, bawling, crying. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And it was a great feeling. But, like, just seeing how proud my mom was, that meant the world to me.
Yeah. In 2016, you were actually contacted by the U.S. women's baseball team to try out for the team when you were only 15 years old. But unfortunately, you had torn your ACL and couldn't try out. How did you hurt your knee that first time?
I was playing basketball for my high school team. I was in my sophomore year, I believe, yeah. And we were in the Sweet 16 of our playoffs. We had a pretty dang good team that year, and we had a great season, lots of ups and downs, and we were just going all out for state championship, as you do when you're on a team. I remember exactly Sweet 16. There were 2 minutes and 22 seconds left in the game. I just remember that for some reason, because I think we got like an inbound play or something like that. It's crazy because that's like my birthday. I have it tattooed on me, 222. It was crazy. Other team had the ball. My left foot was on the sideline. And so I'm trying to cut the girl off from driving around to the sideline. So I'm trying to make her go the other way and cross over. She ends up crossing over, but she ends up hitting my knee. And just that impact, it literally sounded like my shin split in half. Like it was just a big like, it was so, I think the sound was scarier than the actual injury. I was scared. Like, not even like of pain, but the sound was just terrifying because that was my first like real legit injury. And I was like, oh no. And the first thing I thought of was like, I have a whole baseball season played. Like this cannot happen right now. Like I was already late getting into my baseball season. Like it was about to start because we're in February at this point. Baseball was the very first thing that I thought about. I actually ended up walking off the court after that. Like I got up and I could walk, but it felt like jello in my knee. So I knew something was not okay. And yeah, that was not a fun moment.
So what was the rehab process like?
I had surgery a few months after that. So I actually had prehab before doing surgery, went to physical therapy, tried to strengthen up the muscles before surgery so it makes recovery go by faster. Had surgery in March or something like that. And then 2 or 3 days after surgery, I went straight into physical therapy and started moving my knee, just simply up and down. And then like every other day I had physical therapy, something like that. I probably still have the workouts like saved on my phone somewhere because I've had 2 ACL surgeries.
I know. Yeah,
it was definitely a lengthy recovery, but I actually recovered a lot quicker than most people do. So that was good.
On July 18th, 2019, you announced your commitment to Georgia Highlands College. Georgia Highlands College was a junior college team which had won at least 29 games in the competitive Georgia Collegiate Athletic Association in each of their previous 3 seasons before you became a part of the program. I'm sure you had a lot of options and lots of different opportunities. What made you pick that one?
Honestly, when I met Coach Dash O'Neill, I just felt like he was going to give me the opportunity to actually play. I didn't just want to go to a college and commit and like have them say like, oh yeah, we have like the first female playing at a JUCO school or at any NCAA school. Like, I actually wanted to play. So I thought I had the best chances at that school to go out and play, and I did.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't play for a full season, because I did end up tearing my ACL that season as well. But I met him, he had me throw a bullpen, he had me do infield, he had me hit, and like he was like shaking his head the whole time, like, yeah, and he was talking me up, and he was like, look, you know, if you come here, like, I'm not going to treat you like a girl, like, you're just going to be one of the guys, I'm going to treat you like one of the team members. And I was like, great, that's exactly what I want. And I knew like the second after he said that, I was like, I want to go here.
Yeah.
Him saying that just decided it for me almost.
And he's got a pretty nice resume too. He's helped over 190 players advance to 4-year institutions and helped produce 16 players that have been drafted by Major League Baseball teams. Yeah. So pretty good company.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a lot of support from people on social media, with multiple people proclaiming that you were their new favorite college baseball player before you'd even stepped onto a field. How aware are you of things like that on social media? Like, do you see those kinds of posts and messages?
I sometimes do. I would say definitely in this day and time, I do. Social media is just so huge now with all the platforms. But I would say in high school, when I graduated high school, like getting my first year into college, I definitely wasn't huge into social media. Like, it wasn't a big deal to me. So like I would see some articles here and there, and like I had the Atlanta Journal-Constitution come out to me and do a newspaper article with me and stuff, and that was probably one of the biggest things that I did. I obviously heard like my friends, my family say that and all that stuff, but like I don't know if there were any.
You're like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. And I don't know.
I'm your favorite college baseball
player.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. I appreciate it. But I definitely hear things like here and there, but yeah, it was just like another day, like, you know.
And what about like haters? Do you hear that stuff? Do you block that stuff out?
Actually, I remember I posted something. It was a baseball post on my Instagram, and I probably still have it on my Instagram somewhere, but there were like so many like hater comments, whatever, like, oh, I'll take you 450 dead center, like, oh, you can't play baseball, da da da. I could probably pull it up right now and like read a few comments or what I said back, but like I made a post about it, like replying to like the majority of the comments. Like I didn't like individually respond to people just 'cause that's just like too much. But like I just made a post about like, you know, women are allowed to play the sport. I can do what I want. I can do what I love, and you can hate on me. You can think what you want, but like you're not playing baseball. You're not doing what I'm doing. So like if you're hating on me, like you got bigger fish to fry, dude. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm just out here doing what I love and
actually doing it.
Yeah.
Not just sitting at home being like, you know, I could have been a college baseball player.
Yeah. Okay, then do it. Like
Right.
like you're sitting behind a screen and probably sitting on your couch and typing this, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you do with your life, like I don't care, but like if you're gonna be a hater, I don't know, like have something behind it. Like I don't know, like I would click on a page sometimes and I don't know, there would just be like nothing there. It just seemed like, you know, like a normal person. Well, there's nothing wrong with being a normal person, obviously, but like, you know, I'm out here just doing cool things, and if you don't like it, that's on you. But like you're not gonna stop me from doing what I want to do.
We've been friends on social media for a few years now, and one of the things that's always struck me is how sure of yourself you are. And I don't mean cocky necessarily, like that's part of it, but I'm not sure if confidence is the right word either. Just like you know who you are and what you expect of yourself. Have you always been that way?
Yeah, I definitely have expectations for myself, and I know I am like on a pedestal for like a lot of people, and I never like letting people down, regardless of what it is, whether it's playing baseball or just being a good human. My aunt has always said like, I don't care what you do with your life, but as long as you're a good human, like that's all I care about. You can do, you know, all these like bad things or make mistakes or whatever, but as long as you're a good human being at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And so I don't like disappointing people or saying that I'm going to do something and like not do it, like be a hypocrite. So the second I say I'm going to do something, like I was like, gotta do it now.
Right.
You know?
It's out there. I'm committed.
Yeah. So once I say something, I'm going to do it, and that's an expectation. So like I do have those expectations for myself, and I'm always at a constant like battle in my head. Like I want to beat myself every day. Like I'm in a competition with myself because I just want to be better. Like get 1% better every day, or like I don't like being stagnant. Like I always like to do something more, like learn something or just add more knowledge to my arsenal in any way, whether it's like baseball or like in the gym, in classroom, in life, in anything. Like I just like growing.
In August of 2019, you helped lead the USA women's national baseball team to a gold medal victory at the Women's Pan-American Championships in Mexico. Your team went 7-0 in the tournament, outscoring your opponents 124-20. In the gold medal game, you hit a 2 RBI double to center field in third inning to break the tie and give the U.S. a lead that you guys wouldn't relinquish. And you were also on third base in the bottom of the sixth and crossed home plate on a pass ball, scoring the final run of the game. What did it feel like to play such a big part in such an important game and then to win the gold medal?
Honestly, like once you said that, like I got the hit that broke the tying run, like I don't remember that exactly, so I probably knew that in the moment, but hearing that is kind of like eye-opening, like, wow, I actually did that. I guess sometimes I forget that I actually do these things that have gotten me here, because like I said, I'm always at a competition with myself, so it's always easier to look at your mistakes than what you've positively done. So sometimes you do forget like you've actually done those things, and you're always just looking at the little errors you make, or like, oh, I did this, but I should have done this, and da-da-da-da. So like hearing you say that, I was like, dang, like I'm actually capable of doing these things. I know that I'm capable, but it's easier to look at your mistakes and your errors.
There's a reason why you're on this team and playing on this stage. It's not because of the errors.
Yeah.
It's because of
No,
the
absolutely.
things you've done well.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to sometimes actually remember that.
Yeah.
And I know deep down that I'm capable of it, because like you said, like I just have the confidence, and I know that I'm able to do that. Being a part of that game and being on that stage, it's an amazing feeling. Like just being there in the moment and just getting hit at the right time. Like nothing beats that.
Yeah.
You're just out there having fun. Like baseball is fun. Like if you're not having fun, you're just not doing it right.
Seeing you the past couple days, even at practice and just these last 2 games in Rockford and Kenosha, you are always smiling. Like if I were your teammate, I don't know if I'd like you or if I'd hate you, because like you never shut up on the field.
Yeah.
You're always talking. Like, and I think I was that way too, but like you are always in the moment and like having fun and smiling and taking selfies in the dugout, and like it is so clear how much fun you have on the field.
My mom just texted me the other day, and she was like, "How was your day, boo?" I was like, "It was long, but it was fun." She was like, "Yeah, you know, I know it was long, but you're going to do what you love, and not a lot of people get to do what they love every day." And I'm like, "You're so right."
Yeah.
And just being on the field is nothing beats it. Like, don't get me wrong, it's like very chaotic. There's a lot going on, but it's like the most peace that my mind and all of my teammates' minds are at. Like, we're just out here in between these lines or in this dugout, and it's just vibes out here. Like, we're just having a good time, and we're all in a good mood. We're all happy. We're out here throwing a ball around a field and swinging a bat. Like, we're like 5-year-olds at the end of the day, like inside.
Have you ever had a teammate be like, "Ashton, shut up. Like,
No.
I'm trying to focus." Like,
Well, maybe. Maybe. But I'm like, no, you shut up. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And it's just like a lighthearted thing. Like, I mean, if that happens, I'll be like, yo, okay, you got something. Like, I don't know. I'll leave you alone for a second. I mean, sometimes I do get like frustrated and get in like my little moods, whatever. But as I've gotten older, I've definitely gotten better at controlling the emotions of everything. I just always constantly remind myself to have fun and be present. My mom always says, be present where your feet are. And her saying that it always reminds me, because I just have like her voice playing in my head a lot. And like those words I always remember. So it really helps with the game, because you can't be stuck on the past. Like if you made an error, or even if you made a great hit, like, yes, that happened, but you have this many innings next, or you have this many outs left to play. So like you always got to be thinking about the future, yes, and planning for what is happening, but you have to be present and very reactive and trusting your instincts. So it's a very mental game. It's crazy.
where do you keep your gold medal?
My mom has it hanging with my jersey. I saw it just the other day. We're going to get it framed. That is the plan, to do that. But It's in her closet. It's safe. It's with my jersey that I wore and all that stuff. So she holds on to it.
Awesome. You appeared in all 7 games at that tournament, playing both center and left field. You batted .583, going 14 for 24, and finished a perfect 3 for 3 in stolen bases. You were second on Team USA in extra base hits with 4 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 home runs, and you finished third on the team with 16 RBI. You also pitched 1 in the third innings, allowing just 1 hit and 1 walk while recording 2 strikeouts. But if that wasn't enough, your game on August 22nd against Cuba was your real breakout performance. You went 4 for 5 with 5 runs batted in. Your first hit of the day was a double in the second inning. You followed that up with a single in the third, and then at the top of the fourth, you hit a 2 RBI triple to right center. And when you came up to bat with 2 runners on in the 5th inning, you were just a home run shy of the cycle. You put an exclamation point on your day by hitting a 400-foot home run to dead center, giving you your first career cycle. You guys won that game 23-1. Was that the best game of your career to date?
Yeah, I honestly think so.
What happened that day? Did you just wake up on the right side of the bed?
I guess so. It's a very wishy-washy game. I guess it was just like a really good day, and I think I actually just got comfortable. But we were pretty deep into the series.
Yeah.
Probably thinking to myself, like, you've done this a few times, just go up there and swing and, like, trust yourself. Honestly, I didn't even know I hit for the cycle till after the game. Because, like I said, you're being present and just doing what you need to do. And, yeah, I hit a double. Then I hit a single. Then I hit a triple. I didn't think of, like, oh, I need to hit a home run right now. That thought never crossed my mind. But it just happened.
That's
it was
awesome.
Pretty freaking awesome.
Right around that time, you suffered another torn right ACL, this time while turning a double play. That led to multiple surgeries, and you were in recovery for a year. Was there any point during that rehab process where you questioned, like, is this all worth it? Like, why am I doing all this?
I probably questioned it like here and there, like, oh, do you really want to go back and play either at a collegiate level, or I knew I was definitely going to go back and play USA baseball. Like, that was a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought in my head was like, do you really need to go back and play at a collegiate level? And actually, Dash called me from Highlands. He was like, you think what you need to do, like, always think about softball as an option, or if you want to come back and play here, we'll gladly take you. You know, if you want to take some time away and whatever, like, it's totally up to you. Like, no rush. You just call me and let me know what you want to do. So I sent him a text one day, and I was like, hey, let's have a conversation. And actually ended up telling him, I was like, I really appreciate everything you've done for me, but I think I'm going to take a little bit of time away. Because during my recovery, actually, I got a job. I was just making money, and that was my first time actually making money, so I got a little bit of taste of that, and that was kind of nice. So it was like a different part of life, opened my eyes up to that, and I guess I liked making money for a little bit.
Yeah.
I ended up moving out of my parents' house, got an apartment, got a dog, and it was just a whole different life. I even worked in a car dealership. I worked at 3 car dealerships, actually. I actually forget that I did that in my life.
Isn't
like, I had a 9-to-5 job at 19, 20 years old. Looking back at it now, that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool to do it and like experience it and get those life experiences, but that was not me at all.
Right.
I did end up taking a little bit of time away from the game, but I quickly realized that this is not me and I want to get back into playing. So
Did the fact that you'd already had that injury and gone through that rehab process make it easier the second time because you knew what to expect, or did it make it harder because you knew what to expect?
I guess it could go both ways. I think overall it made it easier because I knew the exercises, I knew what to expect and how it's going to go and all that stuff. But it was definitely hard because, like, dang it, I have to do this again.
Yeah.
Like, I really have to do this again right now. Just going through it was a struggle in itself. Like, you have to completely re-strengthen your entire leg, not even just your knee, like your entire leg. Like, my quad muscle's gone, my hamstring's gone, my calf muscle's pretty much gone too. Like, I lost like 10 to 15 pounds after surgery. Like, you got to re-strengthen your entire body. It was definitely a struggle all around, but going through it a few years before, I guess, made it a little bit easier. But, I mean, I can't even say that going through recovery after a surgery, any surgery, is easy.
And what kept you going? Like, what motivated you to come back again?
I mean, I like working out. I like being strong.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I like walking and running. So I was like,
Those are 2 important things.
yeah, a little bit, especially me being, athletic and just doing all the physical stuff that I do. I was like, you kind of need your body. And, I wasn't playing a collegiate sport at that time. Well, during rehab, I was thinking, like, you got to get back and you got to play college baseball and all that stuff. I didn't really decide that I wasn't going to play till I was pretty much cleared to play. I didn't make that decision. So, like, going through rehab and recovery, I was like, you got sports to play, you got baseball to play, like, you got to get through this.
Yeah. You have experience playing lots of different positions. When you started playing when you were little, you were always an outfielder. Why did they put you out there?
I was fast.
Yeah. You still are.
Yeah. that was pretty much the big thing.
And then when you were 9 or 10, you learned how to pitch. Why did they bring you in from the outfield, and who taught you how to pitch?
I think it was the Eastside Heat. Pretty sure it was that team, the Eastside Heat. Yeah, I think we just needed some more pitchers. And they, Coach Vituli, knew I had pretty decent arm. And they're like, Ashton, come here. You want to learn how to pitch? I was like, okay. And, like, I don't know. Like I said, I like learning new stuff. So I was like, I'm not going to turn it down. Sure. They just threw me on the mound, and I just started throwing. I'm a pretty quick learner, so I just started throwing fastballs, and I hit my spots a little bit. Definitely, like, just still learning the whole entire pitching motion.
Yeah.
But they kind of just threw me out there, and I pitched during a travel season. It was just kind of went from there.
And then after your knee injury in high school, you switched your focus to second base. What was the reasoning there?
I've always loved infield. Something about it has, like, always intrigued me. Might be a swag part of the game. Turning double plays or making the diving plays in the field. Like, I just love taking ground balls and being in the dirt. Yeah. I like getting dirty, obviously. Like, I'm always freaking dirty after a game. Yes. Like, my uniform, they hate me for having to wash my uniform. I'm like, sorry, guys. Like, but
would you rather not have me try?
Yeah, do you not want me to make these awesome diving plays that you guys cheer me on about? Like, but it's always been an intriguing position to me. So I always have messed around getting ground balls and all that stuff. So I actually figured if I wanted to play college baseball, I had my best shot at playing second base as well. So I just started to shift over there a little bit.
Your senior year in high school, you played third base, but you continued pitching too. Of all the positions that you've played, do you have a favorite?
Now it is shortstop.
Yeah.
I actually did play in Rockford. I did play third base. Even in high school, I did play a little bit. Third base has always been kind of rocky for me. It's the hot corner, as everyone says.
Yeah, that's where I played. I was third baseman.
Yeah. Actually, playing in Rockford, I felt so much more comfortable that game. I just knew that After Arizona, after the tryouts, I was probably going to have to play third base because we have Jade, who has been our starting shortstop for however many years now. So I was like, if I'm going to play infield, it might be shortstop. I might get my shot at playing shortstop. That'd be awesome. But I might also have to play third base. So after Arizona in July, me and Maggie Meidlinger, we live literally 3 minutes away from each other. So we're lucky enough to do that.
Yeah.
So we go to the field like 5 days out of the week. Every chance we can, we go to the field, and I'm taking ground balls at short and third. And so playing in Rockford, I actually felt really comfortable at third base. So short and third, probably my favorite positions right now.
Have you tried to model your game or certain aspects of your game after specific players?
Right now, I love Acuna.
Yeah.
What's
not
love
to love?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I love his energy, his swag, and he's just out there having fun. Like, he is just a fun guy to watch. From his rookie year, I was like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have all the yellow stuff yet, and he was just playing ball.
Yeah.
And even just simply doing that. Definitely like having the yellow sliding mid and the elbow guard and the leg guard, makes him look cooler and more electric, and the chains and whatever and all this like too small stuff. It's great. It's great to watch. But even his rookie year, I was like, this guy is really cool and I like him a lot.
Yeah, and he hits bombs and steals bases, and that's the
That's
Ashton Lansdell story.
There we go.
One of the things that's always impressed me about you is how hard you work. Like, you are always in the gym or working out or training. Is that something you've always enjoyed, or is that something you've learned to love? Or do you even love it?
I love it a lot. Yeah. No,
it seems like you do.
Don't get me wrong. I love lifting. Like, probably one of my favorite things is throwing med balls. Like, I actually call that anger management classes. Throwing med balls, man. Like, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
But I definitely found a love for weightlifting. Probably in high school, I had a weightlifting class, and all my friends were in there, and we just started having fun, like lifting weights. And it was always like a competition. I guess I just really love competition, like in any aspect. So that being in a weight room as well made it a lot more fun, and I found the love for getting stronger too. So I just liked feeling stronger, and I play quote unquote a man sport too, so I had to get stronger. Getting stronger going along with competition, and even being in the gym with your friends and having fun lifting weights, like the feeling of feeling swole. Like, I don't know, like it just feels good to me, and I just love that. Like, I was just in Europe for like 3 weeks, but I always worked out because I just like to feel good. I just don't like feeling like blah, like lazy. Like, that's just not me. Yeah.
One of the things that sets you apart from everybody else on the field is your speed. You hit triples like it's nothing. In one of the U.S. women's national team's friendly series against Canada, you went 7 for 17 with a double and 4 triples. What do you do to maintain your speed, especially after the multiple knee injuries that you've had?
Get stronger, get my legs stronger, and just keep running. I got a new trainer now. He has me doing a lot of hill sprints, a lot of like ankle mobility, split squat, isometric holds, and all this stuff. So I was honestly just blessed with speed somehow. My parents say I don't know where you got that from, but I have it, so that's great. I think it's definitely just like a natural thing, but I just put my all into like literally everything. So even running whatever distance it is, I mean, luckily I'm fast. I'm sure everyone puts their all into running. Like, I just actually have the speed, which is cool, but I just try to maintain being mobile, like in my hips and my knees and all that stuff, but I'll always just getting stronger and just keep sprinting and running when I can.
But you're more than just a fast pace runner. You love to, as you say, hit bombs, and people have noticed you've participated in multiple Home Run Derby X events. The Home Run Derby X arena is narrower than a regular baseball field, and as well as the traditional outfield fence, it also includes 4 targets that batters can earn points by hitting. There's also a catching zone where opposing players are allowed to attempt to pluck the ball out of the air. Again, a major difference from the traditional home run derby. What have those experiences been like for you?
They are so much fun. It's even more fun that I get to do it with Alex Hugo, my USA teammate.
Yeah.
The fact that we just get to be out there together and go to these awesome countries and hit bombs.
Literally
like,
traveling
for a
the
living.
world. Yeah.
Like doing what we love and being literally on a 10-foot stage off the ground. It's just awesome. It's a great time. And now to this day, that is probably the biggest stage that I've been on, because I think the most fans we've had, there's probably been close to like 15,000 fans. And I don't even know if that's including live streams. And people watching
there's way more
online.
than that,
Yeah, so it is definitely like nerve-wracking getting on the stage, especially the first time in London last year. But nothing beats it. The Home Run Derby X, the crew there, we only get together 3 to 4 times out of the year, but every time we come together, it's just a little family reunion.
Yeah, and so Home Run Derby X has taken you to, as you said, London, but also Mexico City and to Seoul. How much time were you able to spend in each of those cities? Like, were you able to really experience them and get a feel for what they were like, or is the schedule so tight that it's more just like fly in, do the baseball stuff, and fly out?
Yeah, it is pretty tight, but we still have time to experience the countries. Cool. Especially this last event in London in June. I actually stayed a few more days with my aunt but the event was actually on a Friday instead of, they're usually on Saturdays, but the entire event was that whole weekend because there was the London series that was actually happening, Cubs versus Cardinals, in the stadium a few miles away. So we had the Trafalgar Square all set up and all this stuff. So we had our main event on a Friday. So we had Saturday, Sunday to explore London, do whatever we wanted. We got car service. They gave us per diem to get meals and stuff. But,
cool.
We just got to go do our own thing, and we got a free guest to come with us. So we got to go experience that, and then we flew out on Monday. But yeah, it is a little tight, and you got to do what you got to do when you're there, but they still let you enjoy yourself and your time and have the experience in these countries while you're there.
Awesome. So now that you're at Florida International University, you've made the switch over to softball. Was that a difficult decision to make?
It was. I have to say it was, because I've always been so adamant on playing baseball. I'll be always like, screw softball. Like, I'm playing baseball. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to play softball. Like, that was my mindset for years, probably till right before I made that decision, right before I called Veronica to hook me up with the softball school.
Yeah.
So it was hard to make that decision for sure, but I will never say that I'm upset with making that decision.
And you're talking about Veronica Alvarez. How did she help you land at FIU?
She knows Alema Lopez, one of our assistant coaches. She played at FIU. They just knew each other from the Miami area because Veronica lived in Miami for however many years. That's like her home. Alema was an assistant coach, so they saw their contact information. She called, and she was like, yeah, we're always looking for players. Like, send me some highlight videos, whatever. I was like, well, I don't have any softball videos, so can I send you baseball stuff? And they were like, sure. So I sent over the video, and they were like,
a bunch of like Team USA clips where you're like, I'm pretty good at this. Like,
yeah, I actually just went to like a field right down the street with my brother. I had a tripod that I actually used for the gym to like record some workouts. Just put my phone on there, and he just threw me some BP, and I was just hitting on the field. And then I was like, okay, hit me some ground balls now. I recorded that, and I threw across the diamond a few times, and they were just like, absolutely, yeah, we would love to take her on for a visit. And
cool.
That was there from that.
What was the biggest adjustment playing softball for the first time when you got to FIU?
The hitting.
The pitches are coming from such a different angle. Like, yeah. The eye angle is so different.
That for sure, but just the motion in general of the pitcher coming at you, like, when you're used to baseball and just them looking at you, getting in their set stance and just lifting the leg and just throwing the ball, very simple, right? No. In softball, they're like fully coming at you with their entire body. Yeah. Like, you're doing that in baseball too, but like in softball, it's so prominent and aggressive. Like, they're
closer to begin with.
Yes.
So it looks like they're coming right at you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so like the whole up, down, windmill, deliver, like there's a lot going on there. Yeah. And the first time I got a pitch thrown at me, I completely froze. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're doing a lot right now. I need you to like calm down. But like, after, a lot of BP and live ABs, I got used to it, but that was definitely one of the biggest differences.
The first time you stood in a batter's box on a softball field, what was it like mentally to see how close the outfield fences were? Was your mouth just watering? Like, if I make contact, it's going out.
Yeah, like, I can't say that wasn't little thought in my mind. Like, it's very intriguing to be like, wow, that fence is really close. Like, let's see what happens here. But, you can't hit a home run wanting to hit a home run. It just happens.
Yeah.
So it is intriguing, but you just go in the box like, okay, barrel up a ball now.
Well, on February 9th, 2023, in your first ever softball game at any level, you started at shortstop and hit in the 3 spot against the 10th ranked team in the country, Clemson. Your team lost 10-1, unfortunately, but do you remember how your team scored its only run in the 3rd inning of that game?
I think I might remember. There might have been a home run by somebody.
A solo home run to dead center. Yeah,
it was like kind of like right on a line drive too.
Were your coaches and teammates like, what did we sign? Like, who do we have on our team? This is like her first game ever.
My teammates are like, I can't believe you just did that. Like, are you serious right now? Like, you had to actually do that. I was like, guys, like, did you not want me to do that?
Yeah, this is why you brought me here.
Yeah.
I hit dingers. I'm Big Al.
That was really cool.
Yeah. You've always been used to wearing a hat on the field. Was that something that you thought about as a difference between baseball and softball?
Yes, but literally my only question when I went on my visit to FIU was, can I wear a hat, a baseball cap on the field? They're like, yeah, no problem. I was like, cool, we got a deal. Like, literally my only question, like, I swear.
That's so funny. What about the difference in the behavior of the dugouts for baseball games compared to softball games?
It's so different. I would literally get the cheers stuck in my head at night when I'm trying to go to sleep. And there would just be cheers going in my head. I'm just like, please stop. Like, leave me alone. But I can't say that the cheers aren't fun. It's definitely a different energy, and it's just a constant, always cheering. But it gives good energy out into the field, and the game is a lot quicker. Yeah. So you have that energy to give out.
Is it hard switching back and forth between baseball and softball? Because like when you're at school, you're playing softball, but now with Team USA, you're playing baseball. So like, how do you deal with that?
It is difficult. Like, it's definitely a big adjustment. I just had my first experience from going into a softball mode to now into a baseball mode and mindset. So I definitely have to make those adjustments and kind of remember what little things I have to do in both games. But yeah, I mean, it's hard.
Do you have a normal game day routine? Are there certain things that you have to do to feel ready, whether you're playing baseball or softball?
Yeah, just like getting loose, stretching. Like I said, I have a new trainer now, and we have a whole program going on, and he has some stretches that we always do before every lift, and my body seems to really like those stretches, so I do those now before every game. Whatever I'm feeling that I need, whether it's a 90-90 stretch, a pigeon stretch, any shoulder work that I have to do, like if my shoulder's bothering me or my elbow or whatever, if it's bothering me, like I just have certain stretches that I do to make sure that I feel good, get a good dynamic in, good mobility, just make sure I like to be nice and loose. And then I always do J-bands before I throw, just, make sure the arms are good. And then just like mentally lock in. I'm starting to try and focus on my breathing, just like keeping calm and mellow and controlling and like staying in rhythm with a lot of things. Like that's definitely what I'm really focusing on right now.
Cool. Do you have any pregame rituals, like whether it's something you always like to eat or music you like to listen to get into the right headspace to compete?
I feel like every day is different, honestly. So like I know a lot of people have like their game day rituals and stuff, and I have my stuff that I do, but it's not like a ritual. I feel different every single day. Like just like baseball, not every pitch is the same, not every ground ball is the same, everything's different. So like I'm just out here going with the flow for the most part. So whatever I'm feeling like I need that day, I'll get it done. And then like some days you feel really rushed, and sometimes you can't get in everything that you want to get in. So like I just kind of go with what I can and need to get in. If I have extra time to get everything, great, beautiful, love that. But like on the days that I am rushed, I have like the little things that I want to get in, just make sure I'm feel good and like locked in. But I don't really have anything like I need to do, besides like keep my glove in a nice crisp position. Like that's my ritual. Like make sure my glove is my baby and it's taken care of. That's probably my ritual.
And make sure somebody's watching your sunglasses.
That is a big one. Yes. I guess I'm definitely trying to get more of a routine for getting in the box, just so that is just giving me some rhythm when I get in there.
Do you have any superstitions, either on the field or off the field?
I always got to rub my hands in the dirt, just to like have that dirty, chalky feeling on my hands. Like I don't like having a sweaty feeling, so my hands always have dirt on them. Sorry if I give you a high five or hug you during the game. I probably got dirt on you. I'm sorry, but I do have to like always rub my hands in the dirt. Yeah.
I notice you play with the dirt in the infield too, constantly.
Yeah, constantly.
If you were born 15 years earlier, you wouldn't have had nearly the same opportunities to play baseball and to attend camps and events like the Trailblazer Series or the Girls Baseball Breakthrough Series and MLB Grit, things like that. Are you encouraged by the progress that women's baseball in America has made during your lifetime, and how excited are you for the progress that's still to come?
Oh my gosh, the progress that has come along is insane, especially in since 2019. All this technology is coming out with all this baseball gear and all this stuff. It's really crazy. There's been a lot of progress in the last few years in baseball itself, but in women's baseball, it's getting a lot bigger. We got social media now, so we get to blow up in many aspects and everything that we do. If we hit a home run or if we steal a bag or we make a diving play, like it gets shown to the world now.
Yeah.
So it has the potential to really blow up, and it is, and that's awesome to see.
Yeah. You've got a tattoo on your left leg that says, "Dream until it's your reality." What are you currently dreaming about?
Just playing baseball and softball as long as I can, getting as far as I can. I've gotten to the Division I level in softball. That's pretty cool. I want to see how far I can get. I want to get a title, a Division I title, or a conference championship. I want to get a gold medal for USA. But big goal, I mean, I would definitely say I've always dreamed of being on an MLB stage. I've actually gotten there. Like, if you told me 5 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago, that I would be hitting home runs for the Dodgers in London, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
Teammates with Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah, be like best friends with Nick Swisher. It was like, yeah, okay,
and
sure.
out homering Johnny Gomes.
Yeah.
You literally hit more homers than he did.
Yeah, like if you told me that a few years ago, I would be like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely have
but
like.
But when
my
you're
dream.
there, you feel like you belong there, though, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel out of place.
No, not at all. Yeah. Not at all. And meeting all these guys who've played however many seasons for the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers or the Cubs or the Cardinals, like it's like, yeah, I mean, one of you, essentially. It is a small baseball and softball world out here. Like, I even one of the national team members, Alex Crosby, he knows Kelsey and Danae. And I was like, that's crazy that you know them. Like, Danae and him literally worked out at the same gym together at one point. It's like, I know her. Like, so yeah, it's a small world out here, dude. Like, we're all in this little bubble.
Do you have any advice for any young girls who may be listening, whether it's about playing baseball or just life in general?
Go after what you want. Whatever you love in life, just do it. Like my mom said, no one really gets to do what they love in life. Maybe less than 10% get to do what they truly love every single day. So just do your best doing what you love every single day, whether that's playing baseball or softball or volleyball or playing the trumpet or crocheting. I don't know, like whatever you love, just like do it. Mm-hmm. And someone is always going to be criticizing you or just not agreeing with what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. They're not you. If they're criticizing you, then maybe they're not doing something that they want to do, and they might be jealous of you doing what you love. Yeah. Nothing beats doing what you love every single day and just having fun and being happy. Like, no one can take your happiness away from you, and don't let anyone do that. Like I said, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Prove them wrong. If someone says that you can't do something, do it. Mm-hmm. Like, even if you think you can't, try. Because if you don't, oh well, try again. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. I'm just a really big believer in dreaming until it's your reality. Like, if you have these big dreams or little dreams, whatever it is, like, literally anything in this world is possible. There are so many like records out here. There's so many things in this world to do. You have all the abilities in the world to just make it happen. And like, I want any girl or woman or like guy or man, whatever it is, like any person in general to just like do what you love. Like, life is short. Here for a good time, not a long time. Just make the most out of it and have fun. Do it with a smile on your face. Be a good person, and you'll go far in life.
Cool. Is there anything else we didn't touch on that you would like to speak about?
No, I think you asked all the questions. Yeah, that was great.
How can people reach out to you and keep up with what you're doing these days, social media-wise or otherwise?
I would always say my number one contact is Instagram. On it all the time. I just see those notifications a lot more than I do with my other social media platforms. TikTok is cool. You can still find me on there. TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat. I mean, I have all of it.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's just my name, Ashton Lansdell, ASHTON-LANSDL. That's it. If it's anything else, it's not me. It's literally just my name, no dot, no underscore, nothing.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was fun.
I hope so. It was fun for me too.
Awesome.
Did you know, on this day in sports history, something iconic, unique, and crazy happened? And that's what the show, Daily Sports History, is here to bring you. Listen daily to relive iconic moments. Find out about unique situations and learn how sports got from its beginning to where it is now, covering all types of sports history, so you can amaze everyone with your sporting knowledge to show off your genius. So listen now at dailysportshistory.com or wherever you're listening right now.
And now it's time for a segment called What'd You Think, Mom?, where we talk to my mom who just listened to the interview with me, and we ask her what she thinks. This is my real, actual mom. Her name is Lori, but I've always just called her Mom. Can you say something to prove that you are my mom?
Sometimes I just wonder about you.
That's not going to cut it. There are many people who just wonder about me.
Okay. What I was going to say to start us off was listening to Ashton. One of the things that came through my mind was watching Rookie of the Year when you were a kid and watching that all together. And the part that always would get me, it's something that sticks with me, I think of it even today, is when he's pitching and he looks down in his glove, peels off a piece of tape, and the name he finds under there shocks him, his mom's name. Mm-hmm. And he looks up in the stands and he finds her and she just looks at him and she nods her head. And I thought, I want to be that mom. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Dan, I never was that mom.
That's okay. So what did you think of the Ashton Lansdell episode?
It would have been so cool to have been there with you that day at Bayer Stadium and seen Ashton play on that field, mm-hmm. where women who were just thrilled to be able to play the game, who fought tooth and nail, fought stereotypes, fought society's rules at that point to even play the game. And here she is living her dream, just really beyond comprehension opportunities for her to play in ways that they would have not even been able to imagine at that time. being alive at the time when Title IX started in 1972 to give her those opportunities, and now 50 years later, here she is.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a cool experience for me to watch that evolution through her words.
Yeah, I went to the game at Bayer Stadium in Rockford, and then they played the next day in Kenosha, Wisconsin as well. And I just happened to be close enough that that trip was a short drive for me, just a couple hours. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm going to go. You and I had been to Bayer Stadium earlier that year, but I had never seen a game there. I didn't even know that they really played games there. So when this event was announced that the U.S. Women's National Team was going to be there, I was like, oh, okay, I would like to go to that if I can. And the schedule just worked out that I was able to. So once I knew I was going to be there, I got in touch with Ashton. I was like, hey, I'm going to be around for a couple days while you are there. Can we sit down together? And she's like, yeah, totally. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so going to those games, like I was watching Ashton because I knew I was going to talk to her. But if I hadn't known who she was before, I would have noticed her on the field. She is an energetic player, always diving, always sliding, always in the middle of goofy plays or like in rundowns.
Yeah.
She's just always in the middle of the action. She joked about getting dirty and people being mad at her for having to wash her uniform all the time. But in the games I saw her play, she really was making diving plays on defense and sliding head first on the base paths all game long. Her energy and her hustle was just undeniable. And there were a full roster full of people I could have reached out to ask, hey, can you sit down with me? And after that weekend of watching games, I was like, oh, I picked the right one.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And apparently chatting the whole time when she's on the field as well.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of myself too. Like she was playing third base that weekend. I played third, and I know that some of my teammates were just like, it's enough already. Like, but I don't know.
No.
I think that helps keep your team in the game, like mentally focused. How many outs are there? Runners on first and second, like, okay, one out, ground ball, come to third.
Right.
Or base hit to the outfield, we're going home with it. Those little reassurances and just like reminders for your teammates. We just watched a World Series game take place where the pitcher didn't cover first base.
Okay, literally, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. So sometimes you need a teammate to remind, like, it doesn't matter what level you're at. You need to be grounded and like, here's what we're doing if the ball gets hit to us.
Right.
It's not in a condescending way. It's just like, hey, let's all be on our toes here. Let's be ready because this can be a big moment and we don't want it to go past us.
Just constant reinforcement so that it just becomes ingrained in you. But it's the voice out there reminding you what you need to do. That play during the World Series was proof positive that sometimes you just need that. One other moment during the interview that made me think of the World Series was how Ashton got her start, or why she even started with baseball, was with her dad pitching to her from a very young age, teaching her at 4 years old. Of course, with this World Series, Freddie Freeman has a grand slam, just kicks off the series in a fantastic way and runs to his dad because, all those years, there was his dad day after day after day, hours of extra BP. And you have to give a shout out to the parents who are there putting in the time. And a lot of athletes don't get there without the parents behind them, whether it's mom or dad. And that was just very cool to see. That's how she got her start in love of the game as well. And he gave her the space to enjoy the game at whatever degree she wanted to, let her grow into it on her own, but at least introduced her to his passion.
And it's definitely a family affair where both of Ashton's parents are cheerleaders for her. And it was funny to me, the story Ashton told about learning she had made the roster for the U.S. Women's National Team and telling her mom, like, scroll through all the paragraphs. Let's get to the roster. That reminds me when you're looking for a recipe online, you click the link and it's like, growing up in rural Vermont, the first time I saw a moose, it's like, just tell me what the recipe is. That's why we're here. Get to the roster. Did I make the team or not? I'm sure that was a thrilling moment for Ashton, but then it's clear her parents both share in that excitement with her.
Oh, absolutely.
All of her family members, the support that she gets is very evident.
Any young athlete, it is a family endeavor because there are a lot of sacrifices that go along with having a child who is an athlete and a gifted athlete. Time on the field, time in cold weather, sitting there, being present, making sure you get to the games. A lot of other things you're not doing to make sure that you're there. And it's great to have them sharing her success as well.
But Ashton has overcome a lot of obstacles in her career, not just with people thinking that girls and women shouldn't be playing baseball, but also then with her injuries. If you needed any proof that Ashton is resilient, overcoming 2 different ACL injuries to come back and perform at a world-class level should be all the proof that you need. Anyone who's had an injury like that will tell you the rehab is hard, but the mental aspect of knowing you're going to be sitting on the sideline and watching for 10 months or a year, rehabbing alone without your teammates, not always traveling with the team, not practicing with the team, and just not feeling like you're part of the team, that is the hard part. Ashton's done that twice.
Right.
And I asked her, after you'd gone through it once and you had the same injury, did you think, what am I doing this for? And she was like, yeah, I did think that, but it was still worth going through that again to get back to what she knows to be her true self.
Right.
When she talked about going and working a 9 to 5, and she's like, this is not what I want to be doing. It may be at some point in life, but not right now.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's what keeps you pushing through those days.
Wait, so you're saying working at a car dealer or going to London and having meals and the driver and the guest, yeah, that's an easy one to see how that's going to end up.
And athletes know, like, you only have so many years where
Right.
moments like this are possible. You can't decide when you're 50 that, like, I do want to play baseball still. The time has come and gone. Mm-hmm. Ashton pushed through and came out the other side just as strong as before, and has had a ton of big changes and big experiences since we recorded this. She and I recorded last year. Since then, she's transferred from Florida International University to Ole Miss, where she will continue playing softball at the D1 level. And she's had more of those Home Run Derby X appearances. But Ashton also signed a 3-week contract with the Savannah Bananas in the summer of 2024, played across the United States with them.
I love it.
During her run, the Bananas played in Indianapolis, in Buffalo, and in front of 42,000 fans at a sold-out Nationals Park in Washington, D.C.
Fantastic. I hope to get to see them in the 2025 season. And if she would be part of that team again when we see her, that would be fantastic as well.
Yeah.
I love what they're doing for the game.
Yeah, very cool. They try to distance themselves from being called the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, but that's what people think of them. They're entertaining. Like, they are playing the sport, but it's their own brand. It's their own version. There's entertainment on the field that's apart from the sport, but then also incorporated with it. So, like, yeah, I get why those comparisons are made. It's clear that everybody on the field can play.
Right.
But it's entertaining in a way that a Major League Baseball or minor league baseball game can never be.
Exactly. And I don't know, when I think of the Harlem Globetrotters, I think of them as a lot of interaction with the fans, and this isn't that way from what I've seen, but they crack me up, the dance routines, the different things that they do. It's innovative, and obviously they're striking a chord because they're filling stadiums around the country. Mm-hmm. I heard that they were going to be playing in Chicago this coming summer, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to go. I don't want to go see the White Sox.
Right.
I want to go see the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, and at the end of next season, that day will probably be the biggest attendance day in that stadium all summer long.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
I never really thought about all the differences between baseball and softball, and listening to you just reel them off. Obviously, the pitching, that's what I would think of, but I never really thought about if you played both sports, you really need to adjust your training, your mindset, your strategy on the field. And it was interesting to hear how she copes with going back and forth between those, a season in college, and then here comes summer, and now she's back on a baseball field, and you have to switch that up. Just kind of a cool thing, but also informative for me. I know we talked about it when you talked to Ange Armato, but that was a little bit different because that was an evolution where this is, okay, Monday she finishes softball season, and Friday she's in training camp for baseball. Mm-hmm.
Growing up and watching A League of Their Own, they're playing baseball in that movie. Mm-hmm. And I just always assumed that the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League just played baseball. I mean, that was the name of the league. It was the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. And then doing the research for that interview I had with Ange, and going to Bayer Stadium and going to Midway Village in Rockford, the museum, and seeing the displays that they had when the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League started, it was a softball league. Like, they were playing softball. Every year or two, they would move the bases a little bit farther and move the pitching mound back a couple feet. By the 6th, 7th, 8th year, now they're starting to pitch overhand instead of underhand. Mm-hmm. Those changes took place gradually, like you said. It wasn't just they're playing softball one year and the next year it's baseball full-on 90-foot bases. But that is what Ashton has to do. Like
Right.
when she's at FIU or now when she's at Ole Miss, she's playing on short bases with a big ball and getting pitched underhand. And then that season ends and she goes and plays against Chinese Taipei or like goes and plays against Japan or goes and plays against Cuba. It's baseball and 90-foot bases and overhand pitching and throwing across the diamond from third base to, you know, like when you're playing softball and you're at second base and you get a ground ball, throwing a softball to the first baseman is so much different than playing baseball and getting a grounder at third and having to throw a smaller ball that much farther. Like, it's two totally different sports.
Right.
And I think that's what most people don't understand is like, if you're a girl, you're supposed to play softball because it's girls baseball. Like, no, it's not. It is a different sport.
Yeah.
The fact that Ashton can transition seamlessly back and forth just shows how great of an athlete she is.
Absolutely. That versatility between those two things in such a short time span is impressive. When I watch baseball, at least I can follow it. When you're watching softball, I'm thinking, I don't even know where that ball is going to go. I don't know what that person's doing. It just amazes me every time that someone can connect to that kind of pitch.
And that's evident, you know, every few years or so, they'll take whoever is the dominant women's softball pitcher of the day. I remember like they made a big deal about Jenny Finch. Like I think she struck out Albert Pujols. You know, like they take the best men's baseball players and they're like, you think it's so easy? Hit a softball.
Right.
I think if you gave them a full season to adjust, I think Albert Pujols would be able to figure it out.
Yeah, maybe.
But that, again, like just proves the point of how different they are, that he's the best hitter on the planet.
Right.
And he can't figure it out in 3 pitches. Like he strikes out because the motion is so different. The closeness of the mound is so different. The flight pattern of the ball is so different. Like it is different.
Yeah. And like Ashton said, she had to adjust to that feeling of the pitcher being right there and coming at her. And I could see that.
And still in her first game ever, she took a top 25 team deep to straightaway center.
Right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it seems like Ashton's attitude is, it's only weird if you make it weird when it comes to girls playing baseball. You know, she grew up playing with the boys and it wasn't a big deal. Now,
I love that.
Yeah.
That was the goal. Not be a big deal. It's just another day.
Yeah.
Interesting to hear, you know, as competitive as the USA is and as many dollars that flow through to our international sport teams in certain ways, how Team USA might only be together for a few days versus other international teams having a whole year together, yet Team USA can still compete with them with just that little bit of time together.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how all U.S. teams kind of operate, where the soccer teams aren't together all 4 years. You know, like they'll get together for a couple months before the Olympics or before World Cup and hope that they can mesh in time. And that's one of the reasons why it's so impressive that the women's team does win all the tournaments that they win. But even like the men's Olympic basketball team, the other countries that they're playing their national team that is together all the time. That's one of the reasons why it's been so hard for the men's Olympic basketball teams to win these tournaments is because, yeah, they've got great players, but they're playing together for the first time ever, trying to learn a system under a coach that they've never played for. And it's not always as easy as just coming together and winning a high-stakes, world-class tournament.
Right. You still need some type of chemistry, and you don't always pull that magic together in the short time that they have compared to what other teams have been doing.
Yeah.
I want to just go back to how it was no big deal for her to play on boys' teams when she was younger, from both sides, from her perspective, but also the boys that she was playing with when she's talking about being in a locker room and it's no big deal and it's great. It's like it is a cultural shift in our society. Because I'm a girl, I can say this of what it was. You know, it was always like, baseball isn't for girls. You know, just think of A League of Their Own, all the lines at the front end of that. But it says something that the boys that she was playing with respected her talent as well and just took it in stride.
Well, that's part of it, though, is that she had to be good.
Oh, yeah.
And she is.
Yeah, no one's asking for a free pass just to get in for grins. Yeah, if you have the talent, you have the talent. And that is what is the forward way to go. Respect the talent, and that's why I'm here.
Right. Because I think it could have gone the opposite way. If you have a little girl who wants to play and she's not good, then the other boys on the team, especially a boy that might be on the bench because they're giving the girl a chance,
right?
they start to get resentful, and the other teammates are like, all right, what are we doing here? And boy or girl, like, it could be the same kind of thing with the coach's kid.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
But that's the instance here. If somebody who isn't deserving of playing time gets playing time just to be a part of it,
right,
there can be resentment that grows. And Ashton was talented enough that she became one of the best players on the team.
Right.
Then it was like, all right, it's no big deal that she's a girl. Like, she's just our teammate.
Yeah.
Like, she belongs out here just as much as any of us.
Yeah.
And so that's how you can really break down the barriers, is when it's not just, oh, look at this cute story. It's like, no, this girl can play.
Right.
And Ashton can play.
She had lots of advice to share with young girls coming up behind her. And the best is go after what you want. And if you say you're going to do it, make sure you do it. And ignore the haters. That's a lesson everybody could learn, but especially young girls trying to break through in areas where they might hit glass ceilings that have been there. And man, it's great to see those glass ceilings crack.
That's another thing that Ashton earned the respect of her coaches and her teammates, because it's clear how hard she works in the gym, on the practice field. She's always working. So you want to give people like that a chance. If she just shows up every practice and that's it, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. But Ashton has proved time and time again, year after year, she's going to work harder than anybody on that team also. So yeah, I think that's a great lead for people coming up behind her to follow. That, like, if you want to do it, you can do it, but you got to work for it. Right. Nobody's going to give you anything. You've got to make them see how deserving you are, and then you can play.
Yeah. She's definitely up to that challenge.
Yeah.
It's awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, so that's it. In the introduction of this episode, I mentioned how there are a handful of ways for you to follow the podcast online. In addition to liking, subscribing, and giving My Baseball History a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast app, please make sure you're also following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now Blue Sky, where we are at Shoeless Podcast on each platform. By following us there, you'll get some bonus content throughout the month, and you'll be able to interact with us to let us know what you think of the show. You can also sign up for Clearing the Bases, our email newsletter, by heading to shoelesspodcast.substack.com. We publish 2 newsletters a month, which allow us to talk about lots of things we don't normally talk about on the show. I'll use that space to talk about the podcast, of course, but I'll also use it to write about baseball road trips I go on, to publish research I do, and to speak on current events in baseball, all of which are things I don't really do in episodes of My Baseball History. We'll also have giveaway contests that are exclusively for our newsletter subscribers, giving you even more chances to win some cool stuff. Look for a new issue to be published on the 2nd Friday and the 4th Friday of every month. If you have questions about the podcast or research you'd like to contribute to a future newsletter, submit something through the contact form on our website or email us at shoelesspodcast@gmail.com. Before the interview with Ashton, I mentioned a trivia question you can answer to win something. And here's how you can do that. First, make sure you're following us on Twitter or Blue Sky at Shoeless Podcast. Then, find the pinned post at the top of our profile with the link to the Ashton Lansdell episode, which asks this episode's trivia question. The answer to the trivia question was somewhere in the episode you just finished listening to. Quote that post along with your answer, and we'll announce the winner before the next episode of the podcast goes live. You don't have to be the first person to answer, you just have to be right. But make sure you're following us on your preferred social media platform or your entry won't be counted. We'll pick one person who answered correctly, and they'll win an autographed baseball signed by Ashton. Like I said before, we also do a separate giveaway related to every episode through our email newsletter, and the winner of that contest will get a different prize. So make sure you're signed up for that, and you'll have a chance to win something else this month too. While we have spoken to a handful of former ball players during the 3+ seasons of My Baseball History, previous episodes had never featured a current player before. So even though I usually record the interviews 6 months to a year in advance of them going live, generally we haven't run into the issue of a whole lot changing or needing to be updated about our subject after our interview. However, as I mentioned earlier this episode, Ashton has done and seen a lot since we recorded. Unfortunately, that means I wasn't able to ask her questions about those opportunities and experiences, but that's what this part of the episode is for. Kind of a, oh hey, one more thing section that I have for exactly this type of scenario. In December of 2023, 4 players from the U.S. Women's National Baseball Team went to East Africa to host baseball clinics which reached over 300 girls across 5 regions within the Republic of Uganda. Ashton was one of those 4 players, traveling with Maggie Medlinger, Anna Kimbrell, and Kelsey Whitmore on a whirlwind tour of the country which only gained independence in 1962. A military coup in 1971 led to a brutal regime characterized by mass killings and economic decline until its overthrow in 1979. The National Resistance Movement took power in 1986 after a 6-year guerrilla war, which brought stability and growth to the country, but authoritarian practices, human rights abuses, corruption, and regional conflicts such as involvement in the Congo Wars and the struggle against the Lord's Resistance Army continued to challenge Uganda. Transparency International has rated Uganda's public sector as one of the most corrupt in the world. In 2016, Uganda ranked 151st out of the 176 countries and territories included. According to the U.S. Department of State's 2012 Human Rights Report on Uganda, the World Bank's most recent worldwide governance indicators reflected corruption was a severe problem and that the country loses $286 million a year to corruption. Because of this and a number of other factors, Uganda is one of the poorest nations in the world. In 2012, 37.8% of the population lived on less than $1.25 a day. That year, Uganda's population was just over 34 million. Today, there are more than 49 million people living there, an increase of more than 44% in just the last 12 years. For comparison, the United States had a population of 314 million in 2012. If our population had increased at the same rate as Uganda's over the past 12 years, we would now have 452 million people instead of the 335 million that actually live here. It's been hard for Uganda to keep up with that growth. People in rural areas of the country depend on farming as the main source of income, and 90% of all rural women work in the agricultural sector. In addition to that agricultural work, rural women are responsible for the caretaking of their families. The average Ugandan woman spends 9 hours a day on domestic tasks, such as preparing food and clothing, fetching water and firewood, and caring for the elderly, the sick, and for orphans. Women also work longer hours than men on average, usually between 12 and 18 hours per day. To supplement their income, rural women may engage in small-scale entrepreneurial activities such as rearing and selling local breeds of animals. Because of their heavy workload, they have little time for these income-generating activities. Poor families often cannot support their children at school, and in most cases, girls drop out of school to help out in domestic work or to get married. Gender inequality is the main hindrance to reducing women's poverty, but women are subjected to an overall lower social status than men. Many women believe this reduces their power to act independently, participate in community life, become educated, and escape reliance upon abusive men. So you can see why organizations like Baseball at Heart and Grassroots Baseball would coordinate trips to Uganda to help teach women and girls how to play the sport. Baseball at Heart empowers children and youth through sports as a platform for reducing inequalities, promoting good health and well-being, and advocating for teamwork, excellence, discipline, and respect. They offer an opportunity for vulnerable and hard-to-reach communities to access and play baseball. They offer a safe space for girls and women and children and youth to interact, express, and discover themselves by promoting social inclusion for gender equality and community empowerment. Grassroots Baseball celebrates the amateur game around the globe and promotes the benefits of sports in people's lives through baseball. As Grassroots Baseball says, sports aren't merely a diversion, and their influence doesn't end at the chalk lines. Playing sports offers so much more than just the final score on the field, especially in historically underserved communities where they can empower and transform the lives of youth, minorities, and women. Ashton and her teammates helped to do just that. On the first day of their 5-day trip, heavy rain flooded the field they planned to use in Kampala, but the resourceful team moved the action indoors. The kids had a blast practicing base running and hitting before a game between the girls and the boys. Day 2 in Lugazi saw a little more rain, but not enough to keep Ashton and her teammates from working with some girls who already had experience wielding bats both in baseball and softball. On the 3rd day, the group embarked on an incredible journey from the banks of the Nile to the Kakira sugar factory. Many kids in the area come from hard-working, low-income families who work in the sugar plantations. It was a day filled with fundamental skill building, base running, hitting, fielding, and pitching. Day 4 saw the group travel to Luero, where the pioneering Luero Valley High School team became the first ever champions of women's baseball in Uganda. A significant number of girls aged 10 and below joined the group to delve into the world of baseball. The 5th and final day of the trip led the group to the North region. In the Kiryandongo refugee camp, where many South Sudanese have found refuge, over 40 Sudanese girls passionately embraced baseball. Photographer Jean Fruth was with the players on their trip, taking photos and documenting what was happening. Jean has traveled the globe, shooting on 3 continents and assembling the over 250 strikingly beautiful photos that illustrate her new book, See Her, Be Her, which is a companion to the documentary of the same name. See Her, Be Her is Jean's 3rd book, and some of the photos included were taken on this trip to Uganda with Ashton. The book also shines a light on both the constant struggle for equality and the joyful passion of baseball as it profiles pioneers like Lois Youngin, players like Kelsey Whitmore, and such women of influence as Justine Siegel and Veronica Alvarez. I encourage you to look into organizations like Baseball at Heart, Grassroots Baseball, or Baseball for All, which started with one all-girls team playing against boys in Cooperstown, New York, and now has players in over 40 states and 5 countries competing on teams in tournaments all over the U.S. Baseball for All is a nonprofit founded by Justine Siegel in 2010 to provide opportunities for girls to play, coach, and lead in baseball, and it's one that I've been volunteering with this year. As anyone on that trip to Uganda would tell you, it's about much more than baseball. It's about empowering dreams and transcending borders. If you think this episode was worth $1, please click the donate button in the upper right corner of our website, shoelesspodcast.com. That is a direct link to my PayPal profile where you can make a donation in any amount. If you don't have PayPal and want to send a donation through Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, or any other platform, shoot me an email at shoelesspodcast@gmail.com and I'll send you directions for whichever method you prefer. You can also leave a rating or review on iTunes or wherever you listen to the podcast. 5-star ratings help our podcast get shown on more people's suggested podcast pages, which means that more people will hear our show. It just takes a couple seconds of your time, but it really helps us a lot. And of course, liking us on social media, interacting with our posts, and sharing things with your friends is great too. No matter how you choose to support us, even if it's just by listening, we appreciate you being here. Until next time, I'm Dan Wallach, and this is My Baseball History.